actually know about yoga from a friend who was actually a yoga teacher here in Yoga Hub, which is teacher Jason Robles. And then what motivated me to join yoga is that I'm actually a dancer before, so that's why I kind of like got into yoga. I love dancing and moving, and then after finishing high school, I stopped because I was so busy in college, and then I learned about yoga, so that's why I got into this, because it only took like a few hours of doing it. I've actually influenced some people to join yoga, like my friends in school and my friends, my barkadas and stuff. I'm pretty much enjoying, because as I've mentioned before that I was a dancer, and then it got me into the flow, especially when I learned about a new evolution of yoga, which is inside flow, that got me into the groove and then everything.
Welcome to Dynamic Living the Total You with our In Focus episode, Do You Yoga? Kami po ay nagagalak, aming mga tagapagpanood. Nandito po kami sa Cebu, no? At nandito kami sa Yoga Hub with none other than the Miss Beautiful, Miss Jennifer Martinez. Magandang araw sa iyo, Miss Jen.
Magandang araw, Dr. Jean. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, and we are so glad, that you accommodated our request, because we believe that yoga today apparently seems to have picked up, in terms of trending, in terms of people embracing this kind of exercise, making sure that they become healthy, and with it comes, a price which is lengthening your years, making you look young and beautiful, feeling good and feeling great. So we'll talk about...
Do you do yoga?
Yeah, yeah. But
okay.
Anyway, so Miss Jen, you have been in this business for the past 7 years.
Yes.
Why is that so?
Well, as you can see, I get a lot of benefits out of it. First of all, yoga, the beauty of yoga is really nice. It improves your flexibility. It gives you muscle strength that we all need in our body. It gives you perfect body posture, which what we're doing right now. It gives you that connection right away. And it's a preconditioned regimen for any sport. Yeah.
And in this practice that you have, what are the usual age groups that you get to see or get to enroll in Yoga Hub?
Well, for me, to be honest with you, every time we conduct a class, you see all different kinds of individuals, all walks of life.
So meaning to say, it crosses cuts across all borders.
In fact, we have yoga for kids as well.
Oh,
yes.
yeah. So
for
that's
me,
amazing.
Yoga is really for everyone.
So it's not just for women in the middle class or in the younger age group. So it
that's
cuts
the beauty
across.
of the whole yoga practice, because everyone can actually do yoga as long as you can breathe. That's what I tell them every time they ask me, "Oh, I'm not flexible enough," and that's
so sometimes
my direct answer.
Yeah, sometimes kasi sinasabi nila, masyadong matigas yung katawan ko.
Yeah, that's their first answer.
Uh-huh.
I cannot do it because I'm not flexible enough. But for me, that's the reason why you're doing yoga, in order for you to be flexible. So I think...
And you see, yoga itself, from the very beginnings where it started, it's actually a Hindu thing.
Yes.
So they
it's
always
actually
claim,
a very... Sorry to cut you,
Yeah.
but it's actually a very sensitive topic, since in the Philippines we are very religious in a way. So especially here in Yoga Hub, we're trying to focus more on the asana aspect, which is the body postures. Yeah.
So it's more on
the body. Yeah.
But then when
Posture.
you really think about it, even if it's a body posture, you think about meditation, you think about relaxation, which also, if you combine all of this, you're able to achieve in what you're doing, right?
Yes, sort of. But Like I said, in Yoga Hub, we're very specific in what we believe in, and that is through asana, which is the body posture. We don't want to touch on other aspects because, like I said, in the Philippines, they're very sensitive about it. So it's really up to you if you want to proceed and do the meditation or other aspects of yoga. Because when you say yoga, there's a whole lot of different things going on in that branch.
Okay,
Yeah.
now, so let's start back with you. So, sometimes people would say that I chose this or I choose this particular thing as my mode of exercise because something happened to me or maybe somebody else influenced me. But you, on a personal level, Miss Jen, why did you, I mean, what was the beginning of you loving this kind of thing so that it becomes your passion now?
Well, for me, yoga is really a way of life. Like, I love how it brings me to that direction wherein it connects the body mind, the body and the mind, and I love it because it really, like I said earlier, when before we started the show, I said it's really in tune with my body, with my mind and everything.
And you would want to share that with others as well.
Yes, I want to share that because I'm very passionate about the whole practice.
Have you had instances wherein they would enroll in the class first and then drop off and then they come back? Or what is it that would make and encourage them to have that continuity?
That's a deep question. Well, like I said, when they try yoga, they get out of the class with so much more. And maybe on a ratio of like 9 to 10 for those people who likes yoga, I think just a few
Would drop out of it.
would drop out of it. Yeah.
Because they feel now that there's a difference in the way they do their day-to-day
Yes.
activities.
Yes.
Now, let's talk about sometimes like in other sports or maybe in other form of exercises, there is such as a thing that we do like a medical profiling first. Like for example, you
Yes.
need a clearance from your doctor,
Yes,
you need
that's
to
what we
have a
usually do.
contraindication. Yes.
Yes, first stop, if like you are very sensitive or you just gave birth, we always make sure to ask clearance from your doctor if you are already allowed to do yoga.
I know for a fact, no, I have friends who are diagnosed and treated for a cancer, and yet they do go
Yes, we
into
have a lot
yoga.
of we have a lot of students doing that
Yes,
right
because,
after.
Yes, because I think when I interview them, they would always say that it makes a difference now in the way they perceive their bodies.
Yes.
So when they tell you those things, and then you see,
It
and
warms my
it warms
heart.
your
Yeah,
heart.
it's super.
So that's the
Like-
one that gives you satisfaction.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, the whole yoga business is super hard because we're really not earning that much. But when you see people, when we touch lives, this like gives a whole lot of different meaning to what we really do.
Okay, so when we return, we'll take a very short break. And when we
Okay.
return, we'll continue on talking about, because I like what you said, that when it touches the life of a person and gives the person a new meaning to what he or she is going through, then that is something that warms your heart.
Super.
We'll take a very short break. Please
Yes.
stay tuned to Hope Channel.
Okay, so my first session was kind of hard because the movements are new. This kind of movements were new to my body, and then I was really sweating a lot. And during Shavasana, the teacher told us that you should actually stay calm. And then I'm a type of person who likes to move a lot, so that's why every time it's Shavasana, I keep moving. And then the teacher tells us to stay in the pose, be at this moment, and those kind of stuff. Actually, the first session made me think twice because some of the poses was hard. Because the first session I had was a vinyasa, even though I was supposed to try the beginners first, so that I could learn about the poses ongoing. So I actually thought, because the peak pose was a headstand, and I couldn't do that yet. So So that's why I was kind of having a hard time.
Welcome back to Dynamic Living the Total You with our In Focus episode, Do You Yoga. Kami po ay nagagalak. Alam niyo po mga tagapagpanood namin. Alam naman po ninyo na ang Dynamic Living touches on the holistic approach, no, for people like us, no. Ibig sabihin po, hindi lang tayo tumitingin sa ating spirituality o sa medical side of the dynamic living, but we are now talking about the whole person. Na ito, kasama na natin dito ang ating exercise. So balikan ko po si Miss Jen, no.
Yes.
So Miss Jen, you told me, and I was touched when you said that it's your passion because by then doing this and teaching people what you are best at actually warms your heart when they come back and tell you, oh, the difference that it has made to my body, to my way of thinking, to my way of life.
Yeah.
So, hetong yoga na to, marami ito. There are a lot of them, right? And so, maybe you can touch on ano ito sila and focus on what you do best.
Yes. When you say yoga, there's a lot of there's a lot of different types of yoga nowadays. Like to name a few, there's vinyasa, there's ashtanga, there's power yoga, yin, deep stretch. In fact, there's laughing yoga and beer yoga. Yeah.
And so for you, what you do is asana, right?
Yes.
Can you at least educate our viewers and myself also what this is?
Asana meaning the body posture. Yeah.
So maybe you can tell us why particularly this one, and what do you do in a session? Like for example, okay, you have breathing exercises, how many minutes does it last? And the entire session, how many minutes is that?
So like I said, there are different types of yoga. The things that we do here in the studio are literally like the body posture in itself. So
and
we
it usually takes you how many minutes? Or for the
around,
entire session?
depends on what kind of yoga. For vinyasa, probably 60 minutes. And then for ashtanga, around 1 hour and 30. For my class, I usually go overboard. Sometimes I do 2 hours of non-stop yoga session.
And your clients, you know, can stretch,
Keep up.
Keep it up for the 2 hours.
Yeah.
So it's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, when you do that, at the end of it, is there a warm up or a something that you do before the entire process? You know, you start it.
We have to reset you right after the whole thing. That is like our like sort of like our prerequisite in every class. We have to make sure that we let you cool down right after
before they are released.
Before they are released after the
How
class.
often in a, you know, how long, I mean, you said 2 hours in a session, but your clients, they come here every day, or is it a once a week thing?
Well, especially here in BTC, they come here every day. We have 2 branches, by the way. The other one is in Raintree, and we have different individuals coming in the studio, especially here, because majority of the people here are just like, you know, the cool back, like chill type of people, whereas in the Raintree branch, they're more on the office, mga managers and the bank.
So they
bankers.
usually go there at the end of their work, or maybe even before they start their work.
Yeah.
What a good way, no, to be able to do these things.
Yes.
And Miss Jen, when they enroll, how long does it take? Like one session or one course is 5 days, 15 days, or is it something that they pay you on a per visit?
There's a drop-in class, and we also have different types of packages, the 10 class cards, the 15 class cards that they can use all throughout the year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, supposing they drop out of your class and then they would rather go into another class, because you said there are different types of classes.
Yeah, they can actually
do that.
They can join any classes, actually.
And supposing again, they need always at the end of it a clearance, especially for patients who have hypertension, for patients who are, you know, who have some problems, medical, so you only need a clearance for that. And then can they choose a class that is not so vigorous wherein it will just, you know, be something that is just fit for what they need?
Well, in our case, before in any what do you call this one? In any student, we always let them sign a waiver before they join a class.
What is your greatest, how would I say this? What is your greatest achievement when you started this one? Like, for example, others would say that, oh, I have reached this max because, you see, I have, touched lives by the hundreds. Or maybe people would come back and tell me, say thank you, teacher, for helping me out.
To be honest with you, I'm still not there. My vision in this community is to inspire as many people as possible, and we're still not there, although we're slowly gathering, and we're actually slowly growing, and I'm so actually the whole community is so proud of it. But yeah, I'm still not there, just halfway.
You're still halfway because you're still very young.
Yes.
But then when you talk about vision, what would you want the Filipinos, especially the Filipinos, to be in terms of their health?
I want them to be really conscious about it, because nowadays there's a lot of, like you as a doctor, you see a lot of patients that are sick, and my vision is really like for people to be aware about it. Yeah.
Yes, not just awareness, but living a life that is healthier than what they used to be.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, when you don't feel good, it will impact the way you do your things on a daily basis.
Yeah.
What are the challenges that you face with in terms of, because you said you are more into the posture type, and that there are a lot of other studios that will embrace other types of yoga. So do you see a challenge or two by which you are handling your classes, or maybe the business that you have?
Right now, my challenge is really to provide more teachers here in Cebu, because right now...
So manpower pa din.
Manpower pa din. We lack teachers right now. And in the studio, that's the reason why we're number one, because we're very particular with the quality. So there's a quality control. Every time you come and join our class, I always make sure that we will give you the best teachers. Yeah.
So that's amazing also.
Yes.
So your greatest challenge is manpower, teachers again.
Yes.
But I think that's also a problem with other institutions and other disciplines as well.
Especially if you have this quality control.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anyways, Miss Jen, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so
I would
much.
like to have the next one of your teachers, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because we would like to know what she teaches, how she does it, and also her challenges considering the class that she has.
Yes.
Thank you so much. We'll take a very short break, and when we return, we'll continue on with our interview here on Do You Yoga here in Yoga Hub. Please stay tuned to our channel.
What made me go on the next session is that this is actually a challenge to me. So I like challenges, and it was what made me pursue on moving on to doing more sessions. I've been doing yoga for almost 2 years, and I've been doing it on a daily basis. I do it in the morning, and I also do yoga in the studios. Yoga helped me in school, because school is a very stressful environment. Aside from your mind being so stressed, yoga helped me move on, and then be aware of my movements, and took away my stress. I usually wake up 5 a.m. and I do yoga at home for like an hour, and then after that I do my daily activities.
Okay. Welcome back to Dynamic Living the Total You with our In Focus episode do you yoga right here in Yoga Hub in Cebu City. So ngayon naman, I am joined by Miss Blaine Ann Acosta, who is also part of the Yoga Hub. Miss Blaine, magandang araw sa iyo.
Yes, good morning.
Okay, now heto Miss Blaine, why did you choose to be joining Yoga Hub and make it as part of your daily routine to be here?
Actually, I've been with Yoga Hub since they started. I started out actually as one of the students of Jen before, even before Yoga Hub opened up. So I've been a practitioner for a while, and then it just came naturally that since it's in a way, my second home when we talk about like in terms of what I do. So that's why eventually it just fell into place. That's why I'm with them.
Okay.
And it's also like, with them, I feel a community, a sense of community with them, and I just really grew in the studio.
Okay,
in terms
in
of my
other
practice.
words, your students also is part of your family already. What
Yes.
kind of class do you conduct, Miss Ann?
Most of the classes I teach I teach vinyasa classes, I teach power classes, and I also teach beginners classes.
So let's talk about the beginners class.
Yes.
Pag sinabing beginners class, ito ba yung mga bata or pwede ba yung edad ko pumasok ng beginners class?
No, actually, usually for kids, there are kid yoga classes, but with kids who have good attention span, they can start to join in, because what I look for is for those who have the focus when they get into class. So kids, you have kids in like 12, more like teens, young teens, they can start already with their practice. It's just really being able to focus, because sometimes approach when it's a group of all kids can be different, because you have to approach teaching in a different way. Also with age, usually we have students who are in their 60s who join in, but I do ask them about medical conditions, because like you have to consider also movement patterns. You have people who are in their 50s who have really good mobility, and you may have people who may have medical issues that have limitations in movement, and they may not be able to catch up with some. So it's subjective, depends on the student.
But then you can actually create a program and a plan according to their needs and
Yes.
according to how much the strength, their flexibility, their movements that
Yes,
they are capable
generally.
of doing.
That's why, like, when we talk about beginners classes, usually in the start of the beginners class, I take an assessment of the students who are in. A lot of them they've been with regulars, but more or less they've had a very consistent practice. So I have to find a balance where I'm able to also address their needs as well as address those who are a little bit new. But the thing is, I can only do midway because it's a big class.
So each class that you handle, how many students are there?
Can be different. Like for example, I can have beginners classes in the evening that can be as many as 20 students, which is really a big group. So with that one, I have to make an assessment, and then also like before the start of each class, I tell them what to expect in the class, and at the same time, I ask them for medical conditions.
So what are the expectations? If I am a beginner and I am to join your class, let's just talk about beginners first. If I am to join your class, what are the expectations from me as a student?
Okay. So usually, even like for me, when I conduct a class, I ask the students what their expectations are and why they do yoga. Because when we talk about yoga, most people perceive it's what we do, the asana practice. It's just one aspect of the practice, and it's much more broader than that. But like for me, I focus a lot on asana. So I give them expectations, because there's some there for the quieting of the mind, the meditative aspect.
Yes.
So I give them an expectation that in my classes, my focus is mainly asanas, or although breathing will be there, slight meditation will be there, but it's not really a class that's high on those aspects. To at least give them like a heads up that it may not be a match of what they're looking for, because each person has different needs and they have different reasons why they're there. And then once I give them expectations, what to expect, usually my beginners classes are catered to prepare them to eventually join stronger classes like vinyasa and power classes.
Usually,
So,
how long does a beginner's class? I mean, if I am a newbie and I'm going to join your class, how long do I expect before I can go to the next level?
it can be different for each person, because
But the average would be?
an average depends on their level of comfort. I usually do a lot of verbal cues. That means I train them to be able to respond to like instructions and for them to just really notice their body and then have them understand their options if some poses may feel a little bit challenging and have them understand that the practice is not black and white. Just because a pose is given, that's the only way to go. They have to work around their body's capacities. And once they have that understanding, once they know their body well enough, I encourage them to try other classes, like vinyasa classes, to see if it's already at the point where that works for them. And if they feel it's too difficult, you can always go back to beginners, or for some of them, they actually do well in vinyasa classes.
So how do you motivate and inspire your students so that they would, keep on coming back, doing it? Because at the end of the day, they drop off out of it because sometimes they feel tired or maybe they feel frustrated that they aren't able to progress to the next level. So how do you inspire and motivate them?
I take time to talk to my students after class and before class. Number one, to set expectations. And then, because a lot of the things we do when we talk about asana is driven by body structure and body capacity. So like for people who I see struggle, I talk to them, I ask them how they feel, and then I encourage them, telling them that it's okay. Why? Because you cannot change the body in one class. When you just really be consistent with practice, you see your body change. And like when it comes to progression, like for asanas or like poses, big poses, that for them not to measure by being able to do the asana, but see how much their body has changed in the process. Has this gotten easier? Are they able to move a little bit more? So it's the little things that matter most, because as long as they see little changes, that means their body's changing.
What gives you that passion, that drive for you to continue on doing what you're doing now?
I just love being in the room, teaching the students, talking to them, understanding them, and then at the same time growing and knowing a lot more from what the practice is. Like, I do take time to just really train as much as possible every year, because the body, knowledge of the body has changed over time. It's an old practice when we talk about yoga. It's been like there thousands of years.
Yes.
But with current technology, there's more and more understanding to the body, and that knowledge also allows me to like see that yoga is still relevant at this point. It makes me appreciate the practice more. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Miss Blaine, for sharing. I appreciate you being so open about why you chose this, because you still believe that the body should be taken care of.
Yeah.
And despite the changes in the times that we live in, being healthy, being capable of doing things the way we should be doing is actually a prime mover in what you are doing now. So I'd like to thank our viewers also. Tandaan po natin mga tagapagpanood na ang ating katawan binigay po ng Diyos sa atin upang alagaan natin. And everything that we do actually all points back to where we should be and how we should take care of what God has created in each one of us. I'd like to end this with a verse from Psalm 119, verse 165. It says, "Great peace have those who love God's law, and nothing can make them stumble." Magandang araw po sa ating lahat.
Dynamic living, making the best of you on fire. Dynamic living, sharing the faith, we're giving the love and bringing the total you.
If you have been blessed by this program, share hope and help us continue to bring hope everywhere. Send your donations to South Philippine Union Conference through any of the bank details shown here. Hope Channel, sharing love, changing lives.